Hey DMs, what is the deepest secret lore that you'll never tell your players? Let us know down in the comments below. The kobold that runs the shady, it fell off the back of a carriage magic shop is part of a kobold city that is trying to hatch a fossilized dragon egg. No matter how hot they keep it or how much gold they bring to build its hoard, it will never hatch. But they will defend it with their lives. Also, he, the kobold, is married to the mayor of the kobold undercity. I use this story several times with different groups. The party is hired by a young wizard lady for protection while they travel with her on all kinds of adventures. The lady is always kind and pays up front for their daily supplies and drinks. She is actually a princess of the largest kingdom, but has decided to travel as a civilian to experience how the common folk live while also studying magic. She becomes an important target that needs to be saved when a necromancer duke tries to take revenge on the kingdom. However, they never delve that far into the story. So, basically, I have a world where the big bad evil guy won and covered the world in darkness, save for one city that is protected by a magic shield from a god. Every day, the people of this city receive a meal from the church to survive. My players assume it's cannibalism, but it is actually the eternally regenerating flesh of that same god, trapped and hidden deep within the cathedral. That's morbid and horrifying, and I kinda love it. In the last campaign, a major faction was a group of astral elves fleeing a metallic great worm deity that was destroying version after version of the world. The elves jumped ahead of the Great Worm and sometimes had years at a time to explore a world before the Great Worm followed. In every single world or universe that contained astral elves except their own, the astral elves had vanished thousands of years in the past, leaving behind advanced ruins and no clue of where they had gone. Aside from occasional evidence of violent destruction of their culture or world. Many of these worlds had societies that had clearly grown from small remnants, slowly recovering atop astral elf ruins that often had untold centuries between their abandonment and the beginning of recorded histories on these worlds. I don't think I'll have a chance to tell my players the truth about astral elves, at least not for a couple of years, if it doesn't come up in this campaign, and it won't come up in the next since I think that will be a shorter and lower stakes campaign. The truth is, in the vast majority of worlds in my multiverse, all of the astral elves were conquered and enslaved by the Illithid Empire, and would eventually become the peoples known as the Gith. Any other races that were present at the time were intentionally left behind to develop as backup food sources for the Mind Flayers, like a seed vault of brains. I don't know if it'll come up or not, but a few monsters actually just aren't real in my setting. Cockatrices and satyrs are the main ones. The cockatrice myth is a weird bastardization of historical encounters with basilisks, and the legend of the satyr started with a cheating noblewoman who made up a story about being hypnotized by a flute-playing goat man as an excuse for her adultery. There are hundreds of accidental quality of life cantrips, ritual spells, and minor magical items, some of them not safe for work, woo, that never come up in gameplay, but that a lot of their world's day-to-day economy revolves around. Birth control spells, fertility spells, hair dye spells, ritual spells for pain relief, potions for arthritis, tooth menders, dry cleaning cantrips, magical sex toys, magical laundry services, etc. and etc. Heck, there are small-town hedge wizards who make their entire living from just the mending cantrip. It's not that any of this would be scandalous. It's just that in multiple campaigns that I've run that focus on combat and high adventure, it's never really been that relevant, so I usually just don't mention it. Now, when I have mentioned it as part of some flavor background, like a shopkeeper having Mandrogi helpers, ritual summoned 6-inch tall straw men with 1 HP that a local hedge wizard rents out, The party just shrugged it off and wanted to know the potion prices instead. Hey man, they got priorities. I have a near omnipotent entity in my world inspired by Q from Star Trek. He's mostly there to mess with my players. While they correctly view him as a god, I probably will never get to tell them the background of his existence. He is the god of boredom, and his godhood is a curse laid upon him. He is cursed to forever be bored, hence his messing with the players, always in search of some entertainment to alleviate his eternal boredom. We did a Halloween special one-shot a couple of years ago that saw the table roll new characters who traveled a twisted and gothic horror path, ended up in a village of doppelgangers, and murder-hoboed it clean. Then, I had their normal characters wake up and travel the same path. Everything they did as the one-shot PCs were present, but twisted and not as it seemed, such as the scarecrows in the field they hacked and eldritch blasted to death. Just regular farmhands, actually. This carried on until we got to the village itself. Cue horror of realization. They weren't doppelgangers at all. They were people. I let the real-life players carry the dread of knowing what they were approaching as they found each corpse. Eventually, they found the one-shot characters, whom I had now appropriated into a boss encounter. After winning the fight, the PCs fell asleep from exhaustion. Then they woke up right where they left off in our normal canon adventure. I narrated that they had the strangest dream, delivering a whole little speech in the style of Rod Sterling's Twilight Zone about whether dreams are memories or windows to another reality. It's canon that the PCs have memories of committing the death and destruction of the one-shot characters as if they were them. What I will never tell the table, though, is whether any of it was, in fact, real. Horror adventure inspired by a now long-lost post from the farthest corner of the internet. I'd give credit if I could. There's a wizard with a blue hat who shows up to torment them whenever I feel like it. They've speculated for years about who he could be. When I told them my version of Anam's withdrawal from the world, they assumed it was him. But then when he appeared as a mind flayer, he got better. That threw them for a loop. It's me! I mean, so much as every other character isn't, but it's literally me! What would I do in my own setting with the chim-like awareness that is all a set for these characters to act out fantasies upon? I'd go mess with them! My last campaign featured 2 demonic cults, one dedicated to Orcus, and one to Sathogwa. Both of these cults are prevalent in the setting, so if we ever use it again, they are likely to reappear. Those of you versed in Lovecraftian horror might be, raising an eyebrow. Sathogwa is the name of an old one, referenced frequently in Lovecraft's work. Fortunately, my players haven't read much of that. Indeed, in my campaign setting, Sathogwa is not a demon lord, but rather a great old one who consumes entire planes of existence. Millennia ago, it made the mistake of trying to devour the abyss. While it is constantly consuming layer after layer, the abyss is indeed infinite. And so, Sathogwa is stuck. But mortal scholars have misunderstood what evidence they have of Sathogwa's existence. Now, from our perspective, it is simply the most powerful demon lord, considering it has dominion over the most layers. Should a team of would-be heroes defeat the aspect of Sathogwa in his lair, they would metaphysically dislodge the old one from the abyss, freeing it to pursue more manageable meals. Yeah, look up Sathogwa. You'll crap your pants. Trust me, it's not pretty. That one bored NPC who seems almost all-knowing yet wrong about basic things surprisingly often isn't a crazy crone, nor are her texts full of DM mistakes. She is a time traveler who resets back to the moment she gained her powers every time she dies. She's trying out different things to get into the social position she wants, and knows the party is a fantastic resource. They even kill an early campaign big bad evil guy in a way where she can take part of the credit, well, as of a few resets ago. What we play is the 8th iteration, and I have been updating pre-timelines as the party progresses to keep track of what she knows or not. Depending on the choices the characters make today and what I hear from out-of-character discussions, I inform what they would have chosen to do in the 7 earlier runs. This is a lot of work for little benefit to the game aside from making me smile to myself. I don't really recommend it, but in for a penny, in for a pound, and you made something very unique. Hope you don't run it to the ground. My original D&D group never found out, so I reused the concept for my second group. There's a magic item shop that appears in every major settlement run by the same man, and when the party leaves, the store vanishes. Except that it doesn't. There are 26 identical brothers who run the shops in each settlement, and there's a simple illusion spell that comes into effect once they leave, making it seem like the store disappeared or was never really there. My original party never even asked the owner's name, so I never had to name him. Turn away now if you are part of the Helene Advance Expedition Coalition, AEC. Their world is a crystal sphere called Core. They do not know that the amethyst monoliths throughout the world are part of something greater. As they conquer or pave the way for the nation to absorb other nations and expand, the amethyst obelisk in their own nation grows. When the conquest is done and the obelisk stands taller than the Champion Tower. The setting is high fantasy with some urban elements like Eberron, but all the gods are the Greek gods. The amethyst will reveal its nature. The trapped, shard-mined people. They will briefly tell a story of how across every iteration in the fractured universe, the people of every world have hunted and destroyed the shard mind to break free of their crystal spheres and travel the verse. As long as one shard mine exists, the crystal shell around a world which protects it from true interplanar travel will remain. These are the last of the shard mind, and they will not follow this fate. Thus, our Once Conquest campaign will enter its second act, whereby the shard mind are killing people in their world, Core. If a creature is killed by a shard mind, the crystal overcomes that living creature and it joins the myriad. The goal is to undo the shard mind's curse, the prophecy of the Oracle, a MacGuffin quest of course. To these things we must be given, the heart of a being that has never lived, a soul without humanity, the proven and pure spirit of man. These 3 things the fall myriad brings once again a land diverse. Undone shall be the shard mind's curse. Undoing the shard mind's curse would end our 5th edition era of my campaign. When a true 6th edition starts, we would pick up a Planescape campaign as they come to realize Core is the center of all the crystal spheres and Planescape. Once the crystal spheres over their world are gone, they will realize there is currently a huge Planescape war going on with the Illithids having already taken control over several worlds. Geneva, the hero's space crystal spheres, Astromundi, Illithid's home crystal sphere, Kryn, the Dragonlance setting, Athos, Dark Sun setting, to name a few. With a few worlds having already allied, broken free of their spheres, and allied themselves together. Toril, the Forgotten Realm setting, Eberron, Exandria, the Critical Role campaign setting, to name a few. Core is the center and was the first sphere through which the light of creation passed to create other worlds. Which is why my characters might recognize other NPCs from my other games, their other campaigns, or other popular campaigns like Critical Role, albeit maybe slightly different multiversal versions of those characters. Anyway, it's been a big plan, and I pretty much strictly GM campaigns for the last 5 or more years. I took off a year of playing to do the campaign prep and world building for this campaign. Good luck to you, and let us know how it pans out. They've already seen the deepest lore. My first campaign was just a bunch of stuff I thought was cool with no regard for world building, so over 2 sessions, the players went through a portal to the current-day Earth and watched events they were not present for play out in a fictional animated TV show, with a sudden cut when things went too off the rails. So yeah, technically my world is in an animated TV show where no one has any control over the show, not even the people who made it. And no, there is no explanation for how animation cells are appearing different from what was drawn. It's just D&D magic. The reason the first moon was shattered back in the Foundling eras was that the recently made corpse of a dead god was ejected rapidly into orbit through the first moon. Now, the third moon exists in conjunction with the other 2. Almost no one knows that while the other moons are actual space rocks, the third moon is a permanent force cage encompassing the possessed corpse of the god of mutations and madness. Also, said corpse moonlit mutations spawned the first Aasimar, Tieflings, and Genasi. But that's less important. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell, and let us know. DMs, what is the deepest secret lore that you'll never tell your players? Let us know in the comments below, and of course, if you ever want to help us keep the lights on and the food on flowing, join our membership program. You'll get early access to videos, maybe a bit more. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo for now.